last year on this stage, I did give a presentation that was titled Brands Are Lies, Half-Truths, and Good Intentions. And it was not a statement about the integrity of companies, but really an observation about the historical model of brand building that's based on repetition and tradition. And if we fast forward to today, brands are not building value in the market in that manner. They're doing it through influencing a market. And they're influencing a market through meeting their customers at the intersection of what their needs are, either met or unmet, but also what their values are. So we see the great companies of today that'll continue being the great companies of tomorrow are really values-based as much as product-based. And the other aspect of this that we've heard a lot about today is about the importance of integrating customer insight into your business. Putting your customer at the center of your business, not at the peripheral, while your employees and business processes rule everything else. So, first, gratuitous self-plug. Follow me, Jeff Nolan, follow us, Get Satisfaction. Okay, so let's talk about Get Satisfaction. 70,000 communities, we hit about 35 million consumers each month. Online provider of online hosted customer communities. To build it around your company, it's where your customers can go to get their questions answered, problem solved, so tell you what could be better about your products and services, as well as what you're doing right, so you can do hopefully more of it. Okay, so today I took a couple of notes through each of the presentations. We heard some things resonate. So John talked a lot about relationships matter. Tricia from Salesforce talked about services marketing. Brian from Zuora, retention is key. So in other words, you have to keep, you got to get more out of the customers you have. You just can't go keep acquiring new ones all the time. Rick from HubSpot talked about content drives everything. And then Paul talked about actionable insights. In other words, you can have all this data, but if it doesn't tell you what to do, then it's really of no value to you. So with that in mind, let me tell you three kind of founding principles of Get Satisfaction. One is relationships, good relationships are good business. So check. Second one is customer service is marketing. Our company was founded in 2007 on the very premise that customer service is marketing. And then the third is love your customers. In other words, treat them the way you want to be treated. So now you're all in business here. You all are being inundated with really an avalanche of new technologies. Let's talk about two in particular, which are current state, hitting plateau productivity, which is just another way of saying they're really going mainstream. Not just from a business user standpoint, but also from a consumer standpoint. Mobile, obvious, and social. Now, for the purpose of our talk today, let's avoid mobile. I mean, I think we're all impacted by it. It's our fastest growth lever is mobile right now. But let's focus on social. Paul Greenberg made one of the pivotal observations about this a few years ago. Social is not a technology. Social is not a revolution. What it is it's communications. We're changing the way we interact with the world around us. And as a consequence of that, we're also changing how we interact with companies. And as employees, we're changing how we interact with each other. But probably most significantly, how employees are interacting with customers. So if you don't take that into account in your new business model, you're really impairing your ability to be a competitive leader. So I'm going to mark this one as really important. You have to keep this in mind as we move forward. Okay, old model, clearly, very controlled, very static. You owned everything. You were at the center. That model's old, doesn't work. New model, more like this. Very chaotic. It's very messy because people are messy. You're dealing with people. They have emotions. They have needs. They have all the things that make us hard to get along with is amplified in a business environment. So consumers are calling the shots, though, and you cannot lose sight of that. They are controlling where and when they will interact with you. It's no longer phone, web, and email. It's phone, web, email, Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, SMS, and then the list goes on and on. They own it. You have to get used to that. So that doesn't mean you have to give up all control, though. There are ways of integrating these channels into your business in a way that makes sense. You just need the right tools to do it. So community. Let's talk about community and what this is. Community is not a place you send your customers. Community is something you wrap around your business. It's a way of understanding what they care about, what their problems are, what their questions are in real time, and responding to those promptly and fully, completely. We use a lot of words like, transparent and open and authentic. These are all just words for trust. They just want to know you care. They don't want you to fake it. So if we look at community in this context, what you're really seeing is the ability to get more from the customers you already have because you're building it around your business. You're also realizing something Paul said and Esteban said, which is there has to be something in it for you as a business owner. It can't just be for the benefit of your customers. You have to get something out of it as well. So let's mark that one as important too. Okay, so what is it? How do I get it? There's a lot of different flavors of community. Let's take a look at a couple of examples of what we would assume to be community. Okay, reviews. Okay, reviews are interesting because reviews are kind of an asynchronous activity. You leave a review, you don't expect anybody to really respond to it. And in fact, most of the time they don't. But reviews are actually very difficult for brands to deal with. So if you're setting up an e-commerce environment, you can use reviews as a way to collect feedback, but it's not a very good way of engaging customers because one, they don't expect it, therefore they won't come back, right? And then the second half of it is reviews actually tend not to be really informative in the purchase decision. They tend to be affirmative. In other words, what they do is they basically push somebody that's on the fence that's predisposed to buying that thing, or they dissuade them. They don't actually help them buy it. So in other words, if you have a question about a product that is very important to you, like in the example of, let's say you're buying a car seat for your new baby, what you care about is, does it fit in my Toyota Corolla? And does it come with an extra ISOFIX base? That's not going to be answered in a review. Okay, Facebook, 58% of people like a Facebook page, a brand page. Good, so people are actually starting to interact with them. Of course, 80% of those 58% are actually doing it because they're getting a coupon or discount. So Facebook brand pages, important as a customer-facing capability, but we're not so sure they're really good for engaging people through the wall, for example, mostly because it doesn't integrate very well with your business processes. Facebook is all about Facebook. They don't care about your other business processes or systems for that matter. Forums, say no more. Forums are actually really valuable if you have a community where you want to have brand presence, but you don't want to actually get a lot out of it. And I don't mean that in a pejorative way. Basically, you can have a brand community where you just want people to interact with each other, but you don't necessarily want to collect insights, or you don't want to necessarily engage people in a customer service context. I think Forrester calls these promoter communities. Paul, you probably know. Twitter, 30%. Would you not answer your phone 30% of the time? I don't think, I wouldn't. We couldn't run our business that way. But yet 30% of of Twitter complaints and questions go unanswered. This is a remarkable statistic. And I think that what it really shows is, again, kind of this avalanche of things that are hitting us as business users. You can't scale a lot of these things. If you have 10 tweets a day, sure, you can respond to them in a bespoke manner where you're actually replying to each one. But what do you do if you have hundreds or thousands? It doesn't scale very well. Pinterest, yet another social network. They're coming, and there's more of them on the way. But I love Pinterest because what Pinterest shows is that not all content is text. This is entirely visual. Now, arguably, YouTube is as well, and SlideShare, for the most part, is. Flickr, I need the photo sharing sites. But Pinterest really seems to have locked in this really interesting dynamic of presenting content visually and then actually connecting with someone who wants to do something with it. So the value of a product, of the average products first seen on Pinterest is actually 3 times higher than that of Facebook or Twitter. Community. So what is it? Let's look at community from the standpoint of media. If you're in the ad world, you know this model. Owned, earned, and paid. Okay? Starting at the bottom, owned is easy. This is all the stuff that you create. So if we talk to HubSpot, for example, they say you need better owned media. You need to actually create more stuff that people will share. Okay? The next one is bought. That's ads. And ads can get expensive. Still valuable. It's like you wouldn't do any one of these things to the exclusion of the others. But yeah, you have to keep in mind that there is a cost-benefit equation here that you're always mindful of. Earned media is what community is really all about. This is about getting people to write about you or share content that exists about you and creates essentially a new category, which is earned media. You've earned it, you haven't paid for it, and you don't own it. So we like this a lot. That's why I'm going to mark this one as important too. Okay, so now let's start talking about community in the context of being a conversation engine. Because if really what we're doing with community is capturing, co-creating content, and then curating it using our customers, we need to be able to repurpose that in ways that make sense for you. So if you think about community as a conversation engine, you start out with your website, and I have some, of course I have statistics, got lots of statistics today. So statistics on why that's important. The thing is though, you need to be able to move that content into your website in a very low effort way, and it needs to be near real time, otherwise the latency is going to kill you. Once you're in your website, then you need to be able to transpose that with social content so that when somebody is tweeting about you, you can connect that tweet or Facebook wall post or LinkedIn post to a community topic that's relevant to them. Relevant content being key. In Google, 47% of our network traffic on the Get Satisfaction network comes from search. Search is an incredibly important driver for everything we've talked about today, and I'm shocked we haven't talked about it more. Because if there's one thing that you can do that'll make your business more exposed and more connected with customers, it's to improve search. And then lastly, connecting with your traditional line of business apps. So if you think about a community, a topic in a community that's created by a customer, being exposed to search, somebody landing on it, and now a Marketo or a HubSpot script taking it over, de-anonymizing that data, moving it into your CRM system so that your salesperson can connect with that customer, in near real time, that's very powerful. Community content is just another way of saying it's a landing page created by your customers instead of your marketing department or your customer service team or your sales team or your ads. Customer community is a conversation engine. Okay, so I said website, important. 81% of people, so we did some research using the Insight Group, and I apologize for not having the source identified here. 81% of people said they prefer to use a website rather than a social network to learn about products. This is not surprising. They may discover a product or service or company in a social network, but what they want to do is they want to connect with that. They want to go to the source that will have the most authoritative information about that product or service. That doesn't mean it's the only source they'll go to, but they want it on your website. So 81% want it on the website. Okay, so MindJet's one of our customers. MindJet, software product people use to basically organize notes and thoughts. Very popular. Actually, it's a very passionate customer base. MindJet's a good example of a company that really connects with its customer community. What they do is they use customer-generated community topics, often coming right out of Twitter. They drive their search experience with that, which then leads to people on their website. It also leads to positive feedback being published on their website so that prospective customers can see what other MindJet customers are saying about them. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that just because 81% of people want to use your website, that doesn't mean they want to use it the way it is. Okay. Customers want more social experiences on website. That doesn't mean they want to be able to post their status updates to your site or connect with friends. What it really means is they want to be able to interact with content. Maybe they want to share it. Maybe they want to repost or tweet it right off your site. They also want to leave comments, engage with it. They want to see content that other customers have made available that you are publishing on your site or your assets, whether they be microsites or your full website. KittyCare is a good example of this. KittyCare is a retailer of infant and toddler products in the UK. It's a large business. I think it's like $100 million a year kind of thing. They put customer community, which is right there. They put that on every page, every product page on their site. Now that example I gave you earlier about does this car seat fit my Corolla, that's not a hypothetical. That's off of KittyCare's site. So they use ratings and reviews as a complement to Q&A. So in other words, community is just social Q&A. So if I'm on this page and I'm thinking about buying this product and I have a question about does it fit in my car or does it fit in the middle position of an Audi Q7, I'm not going to get that answered out of a rating and review, but I will get an answer to it in the community and I'm more likely to buy this product. KittyCare's results have been phenomenal. Fewer people, it's like 40% reduction in people calling the call center. First call resolution rates when people do call in have gone up to 98%. More importantly, it's been between a 6 and an 8% decline in shopping cart abandonment rates. So you start to see two equations working out here. One is you're saving money because you have fewer people actually calling you through your high-cost channel, but you're actually contributing to your top line by driving your revenue. Netflix took a different approach. They actually wanted their Facebook page to actually resemble or interact more like a web page, but they didn't want all the content being locked up in Facebook. They wanted to expose the search, for example. They wanted to be able to repurpose it to other assets they had. So they installed our app in their Facebook brand page, actually in 9 international markets, and then they just deployed English, ironically, the 10th one a few months ago. So they're using us to connect people, their customers who are coming in through Facebook with questions about the service. Again, result is fewer people calling, happier people. Happy people are good people. All right. This is kind of stating the obvious, right? I mean, what do people want? They want to be treated like individuals, not account numbers. They want to get the right answer, the complete answer, and they want it quickly. So earlier we talked about Twitter. There's another stat from CRI research says that if a tweet goes unanswered for up to 6 days, it's like there's a 60% probability that that person will actually reconsider a future purchase from you. Time matters. I can't imagine a time in history where latency has been more destructive to a business than it is right now. Okay, Hallelujah Acres. I love this example because I instantly think cemetery, and it's like the opposite. It's a health food company. And so what, my son has this exercise at school, 2 words that mean different things but are the same exact word. Perfect. Okay, so Hallelujah Acres is great because they implemented a community, and they drove down their support costs almost immediately. But the other thing they did that was really smart is they let their customers run the community. Of course, their agents participate and vet out the content. They're very participatory in the community, but their customers are in fact acting as unpaid customer service agents. Great. Drive down support costs, increase revenue. All right, this gets to the main point. Customer loyalty has never been stronger. It's just never been more fickle. It used to be that customer loyalty would build over time, and then once you had it, you'd never lose it. You bought a Chevrolet, you bought it for life, right? Well, today, you go in for a bad service, and you get a bad service experience, and not only do they sell the car, they never buy one from you again, and then they badmouth you to 6,000 people on Twitter, right? So customer loyalty, people will give it, whether they're incented to or not. You don't need to give them $10 a month like DirecTV does. They'll do it. You just have to influence them. You can't just buy them off. You can't just force them to do it, or you can't just hope they'll do it. You have to be an active participant in realizing this. TechSmith is a good example of this. TechSmith, popular Mac products, Camtasia, it's actually popular products, Camtasia and Snagit. Again, extremely loyal customer base, right? They use their customer community to figure out not just a better way to support their customers, but also to know what products they should be building. And they're running their betas on Get Satisfaction now. And the last beta for Snagit collected 1,200 curated product ideas. 1,200, can you tell me 1,200 ideas about your product that could be better? I can't. Okay, so the bottom line is the bottom line. Got to cut costs. We already talked about that. So let's look at the equation. Simple. Fewer people you have calling, less money it costs. If you think about support costs, call center costs, between $6 and $60, whatever number you're actually experiencing, every time you knock one of those off, you deflect it into a self-service model, you're saving money. That's great. You also need fewer people. More precisely, you can grow your support organization to handle more customer contacts with fewer people, or more customers with fewer people. And then, as the obvious one is, you have fewer cases. But you also have happier customers. And you have fewer of these, because these are bad customers, because they complain and they do it in a very public way. And they do this all the time, right? So you want more of these. You want happy customers, because you want to make money. Pause, dramatic pause. Okay, so the reason why we've been talking so much about customer experience as a, oops, I don't know what happened. Speaking of, I just switched to Windows. Customer experience. The reason why I've been talking about it is there's this growing realization that customers don't exist in these discrete points of contact and interactions. They're really interacting with you through a very complete life cycle that starts with when they're discovering you. They're often discovering you through search, but through other means. Maybe it's a tweet, maybe it's a post. They're evaluating you, they're buying you. Then they're bonding with you. That first experience when they open the product, that's when bonding starts. And how strong or weak it is often a result of that first few minutes. And then from there, they'll go on to become passive or active advocates for you. The point is, you want to nurture them through the entire life cycle because the thing you're trying to achieve is to get more out of the customers you already have, not just simply blindly pursue acquiring new ones. And that's, smart businesses today are using customer community to grow their business, not just reduce their cost. So we're going to put that one actually as an important point too. Okay, and then the last point I want to make is really one about culture. Because we can talk about customer experience and we can talk about being customer focused and customer centric, but this gets back to what I first started out with, which is, are you going to project, is your brand about just simply what you say it is, right? Or how is that reflected back on you? So you have to look really hard at what your own culture is, because it's easy to say you want to be customer centric, customer focused. It's really hard to do it. And if you say it and then you don't deliver on it, you're actually worse off than if you'd never said it at all. So the first thing you need to do is look at your own culture and determine the degree to which you are customer centric or can be customer centric and what you need to do to improve that. Most businesses today are not. Even the ones that say they are not. So let's look at top 3 points. One is get a community. Hopefully a get satisfaction one. In fact, as a special promotion for today, I will give you perpetual use of our free product. And that's forever. Okay, so the second point is develop integrated community management process. We have a really good team of people that have developed a lot of resources, educational resources about community management. This is a hard thing to do well. The people that do this, they're angels and doctors. They are brilliant at what they do, and only the ones that do it well can actually do it. This is a very hard business to do well. So develop community management processes, integrate with your complete social media experience. In other words, don't just treat each one of these networks as one-off point solutions. Really look at it holistically and have an objective for what you want to accomplish. Okay, embed community content. In other words, reuse the content. Your customers are giving you content, so you should use it. Cross-functional team support. That really comes. That's just a $5 way of saying get everybody involved in this. So just because you have community managers, don't rely exclusively on community managers to manage your community. Everybody at Get Satisfaction gets in our own community every day and tries to answer questions as best we can. Okay, integrate with business apps, obvious. Look at the customer journey. Every customer life cycle is easy. Customer journeys are hard. So just like you would map your website to your customer journey, you should also map your support experiences to that as well. And then the last 2 points are really kind of connected, which are you want to develop active customer advocacy. It really kills me to see how many businesses actually have very strong advocate communities and they do absolutely nothing with it. It's like somebody giving you money and you just saying, well, I'll just leave it on the street. I don't want it. And then the last point is, if it's worth doing, it's worth measuring. And you can measure these things. You can measure lagging indicators like NPS. You can look at drop rates. So if you use tools like Mixpanel and Google Analytics, you can look at where people are falling out of your website. There's a lot of ways to instrument your content to measure not just its efficacy, but to identify opportunities that you can be filling gaps. So thank you, and thank you, Brent, for having me here again.
Thank you for coming back. Absolutely.